Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This week I'm taking you behind the scenes of how I did my maternity shot in my tiny garage studio. I opted to do a very simple and basic shot using just 2 lights and 1 backdrop. A very simple setup that you can do pretty much anywhere. I will walk you through lighting, posing and outfits and give you some tips to help you create amazing studio maternity portraits, even in a small space. Let's do it! I'm currently a little over 7 months pregnant, which is the perfect time for a maternity shoot. I always tell my clients to book their session after 28 weeks, when the belly is more defined. Of course, every woman is different and some prefer an early session, but I believe the bigger better, because maternity photography is all about showcasing the beautiful baby bump. So let's start by talking about the setup. My studio is my garage, as you know, so space is limited. I used a paper backdrop that's only 1 meter and 35 centimeters wide, which is quite small and harder to work with. Ideally, if you have more space, I highly recommend using a 2.7 meters wide backdrop. This will give you more flexibility for poses and makes it easier to include partners or family members in the shoot. Because my backdrop is small, I often have to extend it in Photoshop later, especially when I shot my self-portrait, where I don't have the freedom to move the camera easily and adjust focal length, etc. If I was photographing a client, I would try to frame the client with the background by moving back and forth and adjusting focal length. But since I'm doing everything myself, I prefer to fix it in post-production. It's actually easier for me and less tiring to do that. Now let's talk about the lighting setup. I wanted to keep it simple. So for this shot, I wanted clean, even lighting, no dramatic shadows, just a nice, well-exposed portrait. So my setup included a natural light from a small window on the left, which acts as a fill light, a key light on the right, which is my Godox QT 600 with a beauty dish, and a hair light bounced off the ceiling, which is my portable flash Godox AD200. Since I had some natural lighting coming in, I had to measure my light carefully to balance it with my artificial lighting. And pay attention, because natural light can change drastically during the day, so you have to readjust the lights. I used the light meter to ensure my exposure was correct, aiming for f/h, which was the aperture I chose to use. In a studio, you don't need a wide aperture like f/2.8 because artificial lighting provides enough brightness. I usually shoot at 5.6, f/8, even f/11 for sharper images, and also because it is easier to focus when you are doing a self-portrait. Although sometimes it's nice to blur your backgrounds a little bit so you don't see some imperfections it may have. Clearly, I was not aiming for the bokeh effect. After setting up the lighting, I did my makeup and hair. I kept my makeup natural, just enough to even out my skin, and added some highlights in some key areas. I like to add highlights on my cheeks, on the tip of my nose, and on the cupid's bow. For hair, I curl it for extra volume, which I find adds movement to the photos and makes the final images more dynamic. Let's now talk about outfit choices. For the outfits for maternity shoots, comfort and style are both important. I always recommend simple, neutral colors outfits that highlight the belly. No prints. Bodysuits are classic and flattering. I have a bunch of them here in my studio, and for these shots I used the black one. A two-piece set is also perfect for showing the belly. It can be a lingerie set, or in this case I used a hop hand, which you can use on the top of the belly or you can use it down, and a long sleeve top. I also recommend jeans, dresses, etc., which I didn't use for this shot, so I'll talk more about in another video. To give some variety for your shoot, try to use blazers, jackets and accessories and mix things up. When shooting your client, it's good to avoid making your client change outfits too often. Pregnant women get tired quickly, so instead offering options like a jacket, blazers, gloves, hats or different accessories helps you to vary your shots without too much effort. For a more artistic touch, I also love including topless shots, naked shots and flowy fabrics. Now let's talk about posing and props. Pregnant women may feel a bit awkward posing, so I always guide my clients carefully. Some easy ways to make posing easier is to use some props. Stools and chairs are something that I love using, as it helps with different sitting and standing poses. Posing blocks like the one behind me are also amazing and super versatile. You can have different sizes and your client can lay on it and sit on it, helping for different poses. My partner made my posing block and I love using it. It's very simple to make your own. Since I was shooting self-portraits, I had to adjust, check and readjust constantly my poses. Quite tiring, honestly. But with your client, you can guide them for the most flattering position. And remember that you wanted to show the belly. By the way, I also like to use a vortex fan to give movement to my client's hair. And I used for the shots too. So that's it. That was part 1, focusing on the shooting process. All photos I showed in this video from my shooting are raw pictures. In the next video, part 2, I will take you through my editing workflow, where I will show you how I retouched these maternity images in Photoshop. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel for more photography content. Now with a special focus on maternity shoots. See you in the next video for the editing tutorial. Goodbye.